Kobe looks at me, he's like, how bad do you want it? Are you gonna pass out now? Are you gonna quit? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yes. Like, yes, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
WNBA star Jewell Loyd was mentored by Kobe Bryant. In our conversation, she tells me about her notorious training session with Kobe and what traits are needed to be a champion.
Hey, this is Jewell Loyd, aka the Go Mamba, hanging out with Rush. Make sure you guys tune in.
Let's go, Rush! Now, you've been fortunate to travel the world and meet a lot of high-profile people. Who is someone that has made the biggest impact on your life?
The main person who's made a big impact in my life has been Kobe, for sure. The moments we had, the conversations, he really groomed me and shaped me to be a better person and be a better player by far. Those moments of talking to him, I was overseas by myself, and us reading books together and just taking the time to have special workouts together. Those things really helped me understand what it meant to be a professional. I think my process would have been slower without him. So I am very grateful and fortunate that I got to have those moments with him. And
so how did the relationship with Kobe Bryant come about?
It's actually kind of crazy. I was in high school and I got tickets to a Bulls-Lakers game. It was Christmas. We got there early and my dad happened to walk we sat right behind the bench, and he was, I don't know, somehow he got to talking to one of their assistant coaches. He was like, oh yeah, and my daughter plays basketball, and he had his USA jacket on, and he was like, oh, tell Kobe that, Jewell's here. And I was like, what? I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? Like, stop embarrassing me, So we're sitting there during the game, and during one of the timeouts, Kobe looks at me and gives me a head nod, and I'm like me, and my dad's, yeah, I told him, I'm like, there's no way, there's no way. So then I get home, an hour later, I look on Twitter, and he follows me on Twitter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no way, this is crazy. Kobe doesn't follow anyone on Twitter, he just followed me. I'm going nuts. I'm running back and forth in the house. My parents calm down. It's midnight. I'm trying to go to sleep. And then next day I just literally hit him up and started asking him questions hey, if someone's guarding like this, what do you do? How do you do this? And immediately he replied. So after that, we basically exchanged numbers. We started talking literally every day, watching film together, talking about that. And then finally got to meet him, became friends and family ever since. And it was the moment we met, it was just how can I help you? He was so generous in his time and his efforts, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to get to meet him, and I'm happy he followed me.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a really cool story.
Yes, it's nuts.
We know Kobe is famous for his work ethic. Do you have any crazy stories from training with him?
Yeah, no, we worked out, before going in. I was like, I'm gonna be prepared, just in case. I know Kobe goes hard. I've been working, I've been trailing, I'm good. So we finally get to work out, and we do some form shooting at first, and it's all good. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm ready. I feel good, And then we started going some up and down stuff, from running back and forth, some transition layups, full court layups by yourself. So I'm like, I'm getting a little tired, a little winded, And then so we do an hour of offense and just breaking down strategies and everything like that. And then he goes, okay, on the baseline. And I'm like, okay, maybe I get some water. We're an hour in by this time, still no water. And he's like, all right, we're going defensive slides all the way down and back. And I'm like, what? Who works on defense? By yourself? He's like, yeah, this is what I do, full court. So we're doing that back and forth, all these defensive slides. So we do an hour of offense, an hour of defense. And I'm just exhausted. I'm drenched, still have no water at this time. So I'm like, man, this is nuts. So I go and I'm literally leaning against the wall, and I'm seeing stars, I'm about to, maybe pass out, who knows, right? Kobe looks at me, he's like, how bad do you want it? Are you gonna pass out now? Are you gonna quit? And I'm in my head, I'm like, yes. Yes, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. What? And he's like, yeah, I used to do this 2 hours before practice, do this workout, go practice, then go lift. So how bad do you want it? And I was like, all right. So then he's like, all right, last drill, you gotta get 4 in a row, sprint down and back, hit 4 threes in a row, then we're done. And I'm like, I can't feel my legs. I can barely see. I haven't had water in 2 hours. What? This is terrible. But the fact he wouldn't let me quit either was okay, he still believes in me, right? He's pushed me to my limit. He's seen how hard I could go. I finished the workout, and I was like, yeah, now can I have water? And he's like, yeah, you got a sip. I'm like, man, so these workouts were intense. But he knew how far I could go, but he also trusted that I knew it was something in me that could keep me going. But that was by far the hardest work I've ever done in my life.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was. I thought I was prepared. Definitely wasn't, but I got through it.
You've got the name, the Gold Mamba. Did that officially come from Kobe?
Yeah, that officially came from him. We were talking about it, and I asked him one day, I'm like, hey, so like, since you're like my mentor, like, am I in like the school, like the Mamba school, like, and he's like, yeah, like you're the Gold Mamba, like that's what it is, like embrace it. And I was like, are you sure? That's all right, that's what it is, and to have him basically knight me that name meant a lot. It's an honor to have that. I know what it brings and what it carries and things like that, but he wouldn't have named me that if he didn't believe in me. So it's been nice to have that and carry that, and no one can ever take it away from me.
Ah, that's really special. Now, is it true that Kobe wrote on your shoes and then you got that tattooed on you?
Yeah, I got to meet him when I was in LA with my dad, and we're sitting there talking, and he's like, oh, like I'll be right back. And he went out and grabbed 2 pairs of shoes, signed them, wrote a message on it, and then, obviously after he passed, the words that he wrote on my shoes was, "Be epic and create forever," and so I got those 2 things tatted on me as a reminder of our mission. And I know it's bigger than basketball, and so it was really special that he wrote that message on the shoes, and then I was able to get that on me to remind me every day of the words.
Well, speaking of quotes, what's the best piece of advice that you got from Kobe Bryant?
Honestly, the best advice that he ever told me was to keep it simple. Like, he was like, keep it simple and execute.
Now, there's going to be a lot of young kids that will watch this interview. For a young girl in particular, wanting to achieve greatness, what advice have you got for her? Yeah,
my advice for any young person, honestly anyone, is to really understand your value. I think when you understand that there's literally only one of you, like you're one of one, like no one in the world has your DNA, like you, regardless if you're identical twin or not, like you're one of one. So you're made for a purpose. You have a special ability and special purpose and talent to the world. If you understand your value early on, you understand that you're loved, that you're special, you're unique, and within those things, you're able to do a lot. You're able to achieve and have the opportunity every day to be great, whether it's that's making someone smile or winning a gold medal. I think that's where it starts from yourself. It's understanding your value and your worth, and then regardless of what happens, situational stuff or whatever, like you can fall back on that because you know your core.
Now, today is September 17, so I'm not sure if you realized, but on this day 12 months ago, you went for 37 points against Phoenix, and you had 22 points in the first 5 minutes, which is crazy. Describe to me what it's like when you're in the zone.
It's a hard feeling to describe because for me, I'm not always thinking in those moments. I'm just playing the game, and that might seem super simple, but the moment I start to think, the moment you start to like, oh man, I'm really on fire, that's when you kind of start making it about you and not about the game of basketball. So, I was just trying to get in a rhythm, and things were going in. My teammates were passing the ball, and I was just trying to keep the rhythm going and play hard. But watching the highlights back, I'm like, man, like who's playing? Like, is this like 2K or something? It's kind of like out of body experience.
Now, you're no stranger to success. You've won 2 WNBA championships, an Olympic gold medal, just to name a few things. I want to know from your point of view, what traits are needed to make someone a champion?
And that's a great question. I feel like a lot of times it's just growth in yourself, belief in yourself, and those things sometimes they waver, but the confidence in your ability can't because of the preparation that you put in. And I learned that from with Kobe. Kobe always told me it's about how you prepare and what you prepare for. When you step on the court, you have to be prepared for double teams, triple teams, box and one, watching film, all those things is how you prepare for games, so you're more comfortable in those situations where nothing's surprising to you. And even when it is surprising to you, because the confidence you have in your ability, you're embracing the challenge and not running away from it. And so those things I try to emphasize is just be prepared. Put hours in the gym, study your craft, have love for your craft, and so then when it's game time, you feel comfortable.
And how much do you think comes down to natural talent, and then how much comes down to working hard?
That's something that my dad always said, like there's a difference between, talent and then God gifted talent, right? Like Sometimes you're just blessed with abilities and other people don't have those abilities, but that doesn't mean you don't work hard for those same abilities, right? That doesn't mean you don't, I have all this talent, I go in the gym, I only take one shot, I'm good for the day. You still have to work hard. You still have to put in time to perfect your craft. I think when you have the ability and the understanding that your gift it's a gift, and you can't take it for granted because it can be taken away. So regardless of, where you are, high school, middle school, college, pro, like, if you're going to go do your craft and do your job, you got to put 100% into it because you never know when this is going to be taken away. And so that's kind of my mindset is like, regardless if you're LeBron James that has this amazing body and physique and all these things, or is some kid from 6th grade who's, has glasses, maybe scrawny and looked at, I don't know. Regardless, you got to go in and go hard because it's a privilege and a blessing to be able to perform and be healthy and do something that you really love.
One thing that you've been pretty open about online is that you're dyslexic. Firstly, what does that mean, being dyslexic, and how does that affect your basketball career?
Yeah, for a long time, hearing that you had a learning disability, hearing that you're dyslexic, you're trying to fight it. You're like, no, I'm not like that. Like, I don't have that, or you're kind of ashamed of it. But understanding that it just means that I learn at a different pace. That is still me learning. My friends and family they rock with me, they love me. So I was like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm good. But it's definitely played a big role in how I learn and develop, definitely on the court. Certain times when coaches draw certain plays up, I have to stand at a certain angle to see the play. So I'm not confused on where I'm supposed to go, or sometimes I don't want to look at the board, I just wait to hear it because I'm a great audio learner. So I'll have, Sue tell me, hey Sue, what am I supposed to do? She tells me, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense to me reading on the board. So I found ways throughout the years of me playing that I understand basketball.
Now, you just recently launched some really dope shoes. Do you want to tell me about the kicks?
The shoe was really cool. I think for starters, the insole of the shoe is really special to me because actually my nephew drew that. So he did an art piece randomly and just was drawing. I was like, yo, that's like really cool. Like, it's really cool art. And so I pulled that from him to make sure, one, that he gets some royalties for himself, that he could design and do that and keep it away because he's big into savings and all that stuff. So that was like the biggest thing that was really cool about it. Then everything else, I have kings and queens on the shoe, one representing Kai, one representing me, but also just inspiring kings and queens who wear the shoe, that you're inspired, that your royalty. That was really impressive as well. And then the color schemes are all things that, to me, like I said, I fly a lot. So seeing the different skylines and sunsets and sunrises all on a shoe, that's when I do my best thinking. That's where I'm kind of in this days of just, am I dreaming? Is it real? Is it not real? Like what's, and so I kind of put that all in a shoe to understand that, you're creator, like the moment you put these on, you're gonna feel like you're almost an out of body experience because you're just in this trance, this flow state. So it's been really cool to kind of create that and put it all together and, just represent, my ideas, Kai's ideas and bring it all together.
Currently in Sydney for the Fiba World Cup, playing for the USA. Being a girl from Chicago, what does it mean to play for your country?
It's amazing. The moment I decided to fully buy in and commit myself to basketball, my two goals were to win a WNBA championship and to win a gold medal. I literally didn't know that I would be on world championship teams, have a full hand in USA basketball, and to have representation. I think that's huge, to look and see that my niece and nephew are looking at me as a big role model and I have USA on my chest and I'm able to use this platform to share stories and learn and meet people. And obviously travel across the world is like amazing. I've always wanted to be here in Sydney and now I'm here and also doing something that I love. So I've been very blessed and fortunate to be a part of it.
Another player that is at the World Cup who played for Seattle Storm is Australian basketball player Lauren Jackson. Yeah, how does it feel to see her back on the court?
It's amazing. The first time I met her, I was in Seattle. She came back. We did a whole ceremony for her, and I was kind of like in shock, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is Lauren Jackson. Like, she's amazing. And then just recently, she came back for Sue's retirement or Sue's last final game in Seattle, and came to talk to her and see how she's so passionate about the game of basketball still, and how she's coming back. She wants to work hard, all these things. It was inspirational. I mean, what she did in Seattle, she has her hand on everything, all the championships, everything that they built. She's a part of that. So now seeing her here playing again, representing her country, hungry to win, to have success, it's amazing. And she's such a great person too, so it makes it even more tremendous.